Now McConnell, now Schumer, now Pelosi and Vixen. On Biden, on stupid, on dumber and Blitzen. To debt, to bankruptcy, to free money for all. Now dash away, more cash for all. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As the economy threatened to run aground, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of earmarks he had flung on his back, an appropriator's dream opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. This spending season, instead of naughty and nice, Santa brought everyone something, regardless of price. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head, he said not to worry, there's always the Fed.
Doesn't make it sound as bad as I think he thinks it makes it sound. It actually sounds kind of nice, but that's Rand Paul. That's his own "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." It's difficult to get just from the lyrics, but he's talking about the omnibus spending bill. It's very big, trillions of dollars. He doesn't like it, obviously, and this is how he is striking out against it. Brett, I don't hate it as much as I thought I would from the headline. I'm not saying I love it, but if this is what politics was like again, just cringy and kind of dumb, rather than like horribly anti-Semitic and violent, I would be willing to go back to that. What do you think?
This is the best thing I've ever seen. Not just because Rand Paul is in a crushed red velvet blazer
with a black shirt. Why is it black?
Because it's yeah, right. Shouldn't it be green? It is so weird. But it is so weird. I'm also like, with things like this, it makes me so happy to just close my eyes and picture how long it took him to write it, and then picture him.
How long do you think?
Oh, hours and hours.
At least hours
of taxpayer subsidized Paul time. Because he's a senator. You spend $170,000+ on that guy's so that guy can sit down, have an editor edit his stuff, and even if it's like when he's not on the clock, he's only able to have time off because he's so well funded in the rest of his career. And then the best is like he went around. I did this because it's I embarrassed myself many times when I was writing comedy. You have to go like run it by people to see their reaction, so you're not just in her head. So picture Rand Paul in his crushed red velvet blazer going office to office as his staff is like, we have to actually vote on this bill. Can you help us get you need to go now? As he's like, wait a minute, do I do what he ends up doing, which is just using like 3 paragraphs of the original text without changing it one word? And the war on Christmas. He just said Santa Claus is out to give millions of your taxpayer dollars away. This guy's waging the war on Christmas.
He's trying to break our faith in jolly Saint Nick. Yeah, I at first was like, man, the lyrics are they're kind of cringy, but they're not as bad as I thought. And then eventually I realized, oh, it's because like 80 to 90% of this is the original lyrics, which are pretty good. By the way, your wife in the chat pointed something out. Do you know what he maybe unknowingly is doing with the crushed red velvet and the black? He's just doing Michael Scott at Classy Christmas. That is what
Christmas
Michael Scott was wearing on Classy Christmas. Rand Paul is trying to impress Holly. That's what he's trying to do.
Also, that's a green screen. So this is not like the green screen effect on TikTok. This guy had to reserve time at a studio.
Yes.
And hire an editor for this. So good.
Kevin Parsons in the chat has realized that it works perfectly to put Rand Paul into a song too. Rand Paul got run over by a reindeer. That does actually work. Someone make the lyrics to that.
So
anyway,
I was like, why don't they have B-roll over it? And the answer is like, it would be really weird to take Nancy Pelosi and put like essentially a ball gag in her mouth as she's in front of Vixen in pulling Santa's sleigh. Though I would pay to see that. And because I had heard it first, just to see what it's like. I'd heard it first, and I was convinced that like I didn't know what the visuals were, so I was convinced that for Vixen they put like AOC in there.
Yeah.
It kind of goes in it. That's where the inconsistencies are. Like you got Yokes on Pelosi, but you also have Blitzen. Weird, but good for him.
Yeah, he did his best.
He's a Renaissance man.
Yeah, he did better than like Ted Cruz. Can you imagine if it was Ted Cruz? How terrible that would have been. I would like to see Bernie do a version of this. I think that could be good. Katie Porter, I bet, could deliver a hell of a thing. She'd have props and stuff. Anyway.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.